Task tonight would be concision, the ability to directly convey a strong and consistent message. Ladies and gentlemen.
African American or Hispanic, and you know how well I'm doing there, that votes for Kamala, you got to have your head examined because they are really screwing you. They are really screwing you.
I want to talk about throwing your vote right down the toilet. I've got some shocking news.
A new ruling could affect the way you cast your vote in this year's election. Voters in states across the country are being warned that ballots flushed down the toilet will no longer be counted.
Just seconds ago, House Speaker Mike Johnson, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell have put out a very rare joint statement. It condemns Vice President Kamala Harris's recent rhetoric. And here's a quote. "We call on the Vice President to take these threats seriously, stop escalating the threat environment, and help ensure President Trump has the necessary resources to be protected from those threats." End quote. Look, this is serious, and I don't know if politics are ever a reason to do wrong.
Right now you have illegal aliens coming into our country, many from prisons and many from mental institutions, and they want to give them votes.
What a bunch of horse shit. Coming from people like Donald Trump.
A lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote.
With his illegal immigrant wife, do we really believe that she deserved an Einstein citizenship? Special dispensation because she's a brilliant mind? Right.
Elon Musk is a very good friend of mine. He endorsed me and you saw him the other night in Butler, Pennsylvania. Was he having a good time?
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back.
Sorry, my Prada's at the cleaners, along with my hoodie and my fuck you flip-flops, you pretentious douchebags.
Elon Musk himself is an illegal immigrant. He admitted so, and so did his brother.
Of illegal immigration. He frequently unleashes screeds on X, the social media platform that he owns, and promotes conspiracy theories about the issue. The South African billionaire is himself an immigrant. Now he's a U.S. citizen, but he once referred to his past immigration status as a gray area.
We should also not be allowing people in the country if they're breaking the law.
I wish Elon Musk would invent a rocket that could get his head out of Donald Trump's ass. I think we should be working on that next.
He's trying to secure funding for their first company at the 2013 Milken Institute Global Conference.
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean,
yes, we were.
I'd say it was a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants. We were sleeping in the office. We didn't have a car. We had one car, but the wheel kept falling off.
It came up again years later when the brothers appeared on a podcast together.
We were not, I don't know if you were, but I was not legally in America, so I was illegally there.
I was legally there, but I was meant to be doing student work.
Oh yeah, right.
I had a student work visa.
Yeah, you were doing you were supposed to be doing a PhD in Stanford, and decided not to.
So it was like I was allowed to do work, sort of supporting whatever, you know.
Both Elon Musk and his brother, who is also a U.S. citizen, have not responded to CNN's questions about their immigration paths.
Perfect, Jessica. This is that on steroids. Donald Trump has always wanted to, quote unquote, play Madison Square Garden. That's what he's doing right now, but he's doing it as somebody who is continuing to stoke the fears, play on the anger, and just flat out lie over and over and over again in order to whip up people who he, first of all, needs to vote, but also people who just feel, obviously, that they are entertained by this kind of rhetoric. I mean, let's just be blunt about it. And you have an entire iconic arena, Madison Square Garden, that is filled with people.
If she did not cooperate, Manuel Hernandez was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery.
A Peruvian gang leader who is wanted for 23 murders, who was arrested by Border Patrol near Roma, Texas, then released into America.
That's who we're allowing into our country. We're not going to have a country any longer. That's who we're allowing in. It's called Tren de Aragua. And that is taking over apartment complexes and unleashing a violent killing spree all over America, especially in Aurora, Colorado, where we have a governor who's petrified of them, and maybe he should be. But now they've even taken over Times Square. They are working full-time to sign these people, many of them murderers, to vote so they can cheat on the election.
The U.S. Election Assistance Commission is reminding Americans that, quote, to ensure the integrity of the upcoming elections, beginning tomorrow, we will not consider ballots sent in via the nation's sewage system valid.
Is a conservative activist named Cleta Mitchell, and for the past 3 years, members of her group have, among other things, been scrutinising voter rolls, looking for anyone they think shouldn't be on there.
I realized that we needed to focus on this threat of illegals voting in November, because I absolutely believe that that is how they are planning to try to steal the election this year.
That Trish never mentioned you, considering what good friends you are, but she did mention some frigid, jealous Jap that was completely jealous of her and who was a complete bitch.
But once again, Republicans like to slam the door behind them after they walk through it.
The United States is now an occupied country.
Just isn't true.
But it will soon be an occupied country no longer. Not going to be happening. Not going to be happening.
Oh, jealous? Yeah, and so now I think I know exactly who she was referring to.
Let's dance, douchebag!
All right, sweetheart, you think you have something to...
I am not jealous!
Oh, no, man, she's not jealous. November 5th, 2024, 9 days from now, will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation Day. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American
Smoke them if you got them. It's going to be a long night. Just get to it.
Has been invaded and conquered, and we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail. We're going to kick them the hell out of our country as fast as possible.
I don't believe it's going to happen.
Oh, my God. We're not going to have an election. I can't believe it. Just
the only way we're going to be able to stop this is by having citizen action, looking at the DMVs, looking at the voter rolls in your county, looking at the voter rolls, watching, and basically creating a national neighborhood watch to try to find these pockets of non-citizens that are getting added to the roll.
A national neighbourhood watch? It's not great. The model they want to emulate is basically, what if racial profiling was someone's hobby?
Election advocates say the decision to block flush-in voting this late in the election could confuse millions of older voters who have long relied on the method and disenfranchise those who simply prefer the ease of voting while on a toilet seat.
From the Detroit area suggested searching rolls for certain types of surnames, saying that, I think it's unfortunate, but sometimes the only way you can find out is to look for ethnic names.
Then questioned the president on one of the controversial assertions that his campaign had been making.
I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that.
And thank goodness they prefaced that with, I think it's unfortunate. For a minute there, I thought that instruction to do racism was coming from a bad person.
It's ridiculous. I've been flushing my vote down the toilet for years.
Just like sending your kid to a really nice public school with electives and extracurricular arts and crafts and all kinds of crazy stuff, and then cutting it when somebody else's kid gets there. God bless Texas. But that's not what this video is about.
Migrant criminal network operating on American soil, and there are lots of them. We don't have the same country anymore, you know that. And you know, when you look at the polls and they say about the economy and they have all these different things, the worst nightmare that we're facing is
whole binders full of women.
What needs to happen next?
Well, I think this is a great statement, Harris, because after November 5th, we have to come back together as a country.
couple of things. But perhaps referred to it as a well-organized collection of qualified.
Migrant criminal network operating on American soil.
Binder of women, book of broads, notebook of nipples, whatever.
If you're using this language against Donald Trump, what you're really saying is half of America, those who support him, are also fascists. Those are also Nazis. And it's really hard to come back and unify as a country if one half thinks the other half are Nazis. And so, again, campaigns are tough. Use tough language, use aggressive language. But this kind of language makes it hard to put that family back together. And this country, more than anything, needs the American family back together.
I love hearing you say that. And it makes me think, too, this is hate speech now.
Please. Proceed. Hold on.
I mean, you're quoting Antifa, which the F stands for fascism. So now are these just the glorified, more better paid members of Antifa on the left?
Trying to open that door? Allow me to open it wide.
It is Republicans' natural plan to attack people. It is all they know. They have no plan to help America. They have no agenda. This is what we're going to do.
Fuck them.
Their agenda is, this is what we're going to restrict so that we have more power. What they're going to do is arrest their damn political enemies. They're very clear.
The door that you appear to want to walk through. But when your opponent does that, you might want to take a breath and wonder if, a la Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, that door your opponent is pointing to is merely paint on a rock.
Okay, so the two Republican leaders expressing concern about Kamala Harris calling Donald Trump a fascist. Let's show an example.
Oh boy.
Of Harris doing exactly what McConnell and Johnson are taking issue with.
She's a Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist.
I'm sorry, the control room, that was actually Donald Trump calling Kamala Harris a fascist in September.
Okay.
Control room, are you ready? Please run the clip of Kamala Harris calling Donald Trump a fascist, which offended the Republican leaders.
Somebody's got to explain this woman. This is a radical left, Marxist, communist, fascist.
Proceed.
And I'm sorry, that was Trump calling Harris a fascist. I apologize. Control room, can we get it together? Johnson and McConnell are very upset that Kamala Harris called Donald Trump a fascist. Please roll the clip.
We have a fascist person running who's incompetent, and we have a president who's not even around.
Can you say that a little louder?
Can you say it a little louder?
Guys, I'm trying to show the clip of Donald Trump being called a fascist. That's what Speaker Johnson and Leader McConnell are really worried about.
Can you say it a little louder? Now just the ladies. Can the ladies say it? Can I get a whoop?
And you keep running different clips of Trump calling her a fascist. Please, humor me. Humor me.
Authoritarian, admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
This election possibly coming down to which candidate can convince the public that he and he alone can protect America from a post-apocalyptic sand and Mohawk-based economy.
Okay, so that was Donald Trump being called a fascist, but not by Kamala Harris. That is retired Marine General John Kelly, Trump's longest-serving chief of staff, coming to the conclusion that Donald Trump is a fascist in his view. Guys, she did say this. She said it here on CNN.
You know, Secretary of the Treasury Wes is right. Times are tough.
Don't you have a clip from CNN? We have got to stop him, Milley said. You have got to stop him. By you, he meant the press broadly. Quote, he is the most dangerous person ever. I had suspicions when I talked to you about his mental decline and so forth, but now I realize he's a total fascist. Okay, so that was from CNN, but that was me reading a quote from former Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Mark Milley, who Trump appointed. Milley calling Trump a fascist in an interview with Bob Woodward. That wasn't Harris calling him a fascist. Control room, come on. I know we have this clip somewhere from CNN. Come on, show it.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Thank you. My control room going a little bit rogue there and making a point, perhaps. This is obviously what Mike Johnson and Mitch McConnell are worried about Kamala Harris, agreeing with the words of some of the people who have worked closely with Trump in the Oval Office in the Situation Room. That's what they have an issue with, not Trump using these very same words.
This is another example of absolute fucking bullshit. And at the root of that is the racism. My God, man, it's the entire thing. Of course, there is this new element of we're going to get the radical liberals too. Some congressman was mean to me, so we need to arrest him. Some dumbass yelling into his phone inside of a Jeep said something mean. We got to arrest him. Tell you what, boys, you come at me, you better come correct.
What about all these immigrants at these DMV offices where people are going to try to go get a license? They can't get an appointment at the DMV because it's jam-packed with illegals. The person that spoke to me about this weekend, identified several places in Texas where he couldn't get in. The first one was in Weatherford. A massive line of immigrants getting licensed. They had a tent and a table outside the front door of the DMV registering them to vote.
Of the year.
Cops can spout this stuff all they want. It's fucking pure evil. Here's a little tidbit for you. Texas doesn't have a DMV. That town doesn't even have a DPS office. That's right. It's a DPS, Department of Public Safety. Whoever it was that told them that was lying. And they could easily check that. There is no Department of Motor Vehicles in Texas. And there's nothing in that little town.
It was all, the signs were in Spanish. It was an obvious Democrat operation on this voting, he said.
They should be making it easier for me to throw my vote in the shitter, not harder.
But I'm genuinely curious about the person who saw a massive line at the DMV and their instinct was, this must be illegals registering to vote and not the DMV functioning like it has since the dawn of time.
He doesn't want to report. They want to help you decide.
No, it's one of the great scams of all time.
Surveys consistently show Americans prefer the convenience of entering a bathroom of their choosing, crumpling up their ballot alongside a valid form of government ID, and casting their vote off on a river of human waste.
I think that people need to be held responsible for the actions they take in life.
So, I don't know what to say, man. Don't pay money to watch Fox News. If you do, you're a fool.
Douche. Bag. A small syringe for douching the vagina. Images. What the hell? Taint.
We're going to take care of your water situation.
So I spoke to the head. He's still there, Abdul. We had a good conversation, tough conversation. And I don't want to go graphically the conversation. It was a tough conversation, but you can't really repeat it. It's not appropriate. But
Can I tell it?
Yeah, you could tell it, but okay. I did send him something that was interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you had a picture of his house, and you said
$1 million for one night with your wife.
And we'll force it down his throat. And we'll say, Gavin, if you don't do it, we're not giving you any of that fire money that we send you all the time for all the forest fires that you have.
I will kill you. And you put the picture down and slid it across the table.
If it explodes, you're dead. If it explodes, they actually say if it explodes, you're unrecognizable. You call your wife over. They call up the wife, would you please come here and take a look and see whether or not this is your husband, because we cannot see. And she goes to the nearest tree, which is about 100 yards away, and she says, no, it's only blood, there's nothing there. She says, I can't tell.
And then you walked out. I think that's brilliant, just brilliant.
Well, it was a phone conversation. But
oh, okay.
I haven't heard, they don't even talk about the environment anymore. You know why? Mike is saying, don't talk about it now. No, it's one of the great scams of all time.
Basically, they can't learn.
Historians will look back and say this was a genius. It was the biggest heist in human history. It was horrible, but it was genius. Who's actually the president, Mr. President?
Well, I think it's a committee of people, and they might not even know who the committee is. They may not even know themselves. Does that make sense?
But putting all that aside, don't throw your vote down the toilet.
Critics are questioning what happens to those ballots once in transit, asking if perhaps migrants living in the sewers might steal them, fears that seem reflected in the government's decision. Still, many Americans appear undeterred by the announcement, with tens of thousands lining up outside restrooms across the country to make their flushes heard while it's still an option.
Vote Kamala Harris. Tim Walz. They at least mean well. Can you think of a single Republican that actually means well? If you're a Republican watching this, you know and I know that you cannot. Vote your conscience, if you have one. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Next, lab-grown meat. Could it be the future of the sex industry?
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't negotiate, let's investigate. We'll accelerate and we're taking him down.